I've made a number of Walking Dead character analysis videos, and I knew one day I would make a video on the fun, lighthearted character that was Glenn, but I never imagined it would be as tough as it has been to make this video. Glenn was always a character that I liked. Loved even, but one that I never truly appreciated until he was gone from the show. Going through all these clips and seasons that Glenn was in has been incredibly fun, but equally as heartbreaking. I can only really equate it to watching the Clone Wars, seeing Anakin as this great character, ultimately knowing where he ends up. In a lot of ways, Anakin and Glenn are very similar characters, and I'll explain to you why that is in this video. Glenn gave The Walking Dead a hero to root for, a person that the audience could connect with on a personal level in so many different ways, and when that was taken away, a large part of the audience went with it. People can blame it on the writing or Negan all they want, and I certainly did for a long time, but making this video, I can see why so many people gave up on The Walking Dead after Glenn died, and that's because Glenn was the soul of The Walking Dead. I made a video on Daryl a while ago saying that he was the heart of The Walking Dead, and I still believe that to be true, but if Daryl was the heart, then Glenn was the soul. In this video, I'm going to go over Glenn Ree's entire character arc from start to finish, talk about how he was the incarnation of the viewer themselves, and how his death really affected the show. But first, if you're new around here, I'm the Thrifty Typewriter, and I make all kinds of videos on all things fantasy, mystery, and sci-fi, so if those are things that you're interested in, consider hitting that subscribe button, joining my Discord for some fun conversations, and be on the lookout for 2 new videos every week. Now enough of this, let's get on with the video. Glenn's first introduction to The Walking Dead was a memorable one. Not only did he seem like a smart character, but he helped Rick Grimes out of certain death, which we had to immediately give him credit for. Glenn helps Rick out of the city and reunite with his family, which in and of itself could have been Glenn's entire purpose in the show. But instead, the writers gave Glenn a character arc similar to those of Harry Potter, Anakin Skywalker, Katniss Everdeen, you name it. In Season 1, we learned that Glenn was a pizza delivery boy before the zombie apocalypse. Maybe not all of us have delivered pizzas, but a lot of us can relate to having an everyday, boring job and wanting to get away from it. In The Walking Dead, not only did Glenn get out of this job, but he went on to be a survivor, a moral compass for the group, a leader, and a complete badass. Glenn is a fun character. He feels the same way the audience does about everything. He has to cover himself in walker guts to leave the city. That's gross, but I guess if that's what it takes to survive, then I'll do it, especially when I get to drive this sweet-ass car back to camp. Sure, that alarm is going off, but still, I got to drive the cool car. Glenn got this far by being in the right place at the right time, while also being incredibly smart. He helped Rick out of a terrible situation and got them all back to camp. In Season 2, Glenn arrives at the farm, still a bit in his shell when he meets Maggie, the farm girl of his dreams that he deems to be so far out of his league until they start to fall in love. Glenn never expected this. He was a pizza delivery driver before the apocalypse, but now, in the apocalypse, he meets the girl of his dreams and is actually deemed worthy of her presence. This is something so many people, myself included, can relate to. There's nothing special about me or the things that I've done. Why do I get to get the girl? But Glenn does get the girl because the audience can see that he is worthy. We root for Glenn because we all see ourselves as Glenn in the zombie apocalypse. Sure, we all had boring jobs, but in the apocalypse, that's when our lives really start. Glenn's character arc over the first few seasons mimics the story of the hero's journey. Someone living in the ordinary world until they are called out on an adventure, meeting a mentor on the way, and their life really starts to get going. Pair that with Glenn's personality and the humor, and the audience immediately connects with him. Throughout Season 3, Glenn starts to realize what it takes to actually become a survivor. Sure, he'll kill walkers to survive, but he still has the moral compass, enough to know that humans shouldn't kill humans. We saw Glenn interfere with this in Season 1, and in Season 3, when we meet the governor, or more specifically when the governor takes Maggie and Glenn hostage, Glenn's moral guidance is tested. He sees that there are bad people in this world, bad enough that they would hurt his future wife. But Glenn still sees the good in everyone. This conflict with the governor lasts for a while, and while Glenn takes part in this battle, he never steeps as much to take another person's life. In Glenn's mind, he has Maggie to take care of and look after. Especially after she was taken by the governor, he will do what it takes to keep them out of situations that would force him to take another person's life. In Season 4, we get Glenn's first of many brushes with death. A sickness is spreading throughout the prison, and Glenn is unfortunately one who gets the brunt end of this sickness. Despite being on the brink of death, when things get rough at the prison, Glenn's perseverance and love for Maggie keeps him going. Unfortunately, by the time he's feeling any better, there is no longer any prison. The group is separated, and Glenn might not ever see Maggie again. While he had the mental strength to survive the sickness, now he has to have the physical strength to get up and go searching for Maggie. Along the way, we see that Glenn's moral guidance hasn't shifted a bit when he takes Tara with him on his journey. Despite Tara fighting for the other side that set the prison in flames, Glenn sees the good in Tara, and she joins him on his journey to reunite with his wife. Along this journey, we also meet Abraham, Eugene, and Rosita. Abraham and Glenn have conflicting goals because Glenn will stop at nothing to reunite with Maggie, and Abraham is holding on to the hope that Eugene is who he says he is and can find a cure. Ultimately, the group follows Glenn because they see the signs for Terminus that Maggie has been leaving him, and after what seems like forever for Glenn, he's finally reunited with his wife. Though this happy reunion soon turns sour when they actually arrive at Terminus, where Glenn comes close to death once again, this time by a baseball bat. Luckily, Carol saves the day and allows everyone to escape from Terminus, leading to their time on the road that takes them to Alexandria. At Alexandria, Glenn finally finds what he and Maggie have been searching so hard for: a place to raise a family. While others don't immediately find solace in Alexandria, Glenn and Maggie do, though their time out in the world also shows them that this place won't last much longer if things don't change. Glenn goes out on a run with Deanna's son, who's clearly unfit to be leading a group out in the world. When they return, things at Alexandria become as heated as ever, because now even Glenn sees that this place and its people need to change. This is also the start of the feud between Glenn and Nicholas. Nicholas has a personal vendetta against Glenn, going as far as to try and kill him, but even after that, Glenn still sees the good in him, letting their past go and trying to help Nicholas grow as a person. This works for a while until they're both cornered on the dumpster, and Nicholas makes one last selfish decision that gets both he and Glenn killed. Oh wait, Glenn didn't actually die. He just had yet another brush with death. Glenn once again makes his way back to reuniting with Maggie and all of Alexandria in time to help them get rid of the horde overtaking their home. With all these things in the clear, it seems that Alexandria is finally stronger than ever, and Maggie and Glenn can finally have their baby. Enter the Saviors. The conflict with the Saviors becomes Glenn's biggest challenge. He's never taken a life before, but they're backed into a corner, and Glenn trusts Rick's leadership in saying that this is the best course of action, so Glenn finally has to take his first life. But once again, Glenn looks out for others, not forcing Heath to take a life if he didn't have to. But as he looks up, Glenn has a direct view into his future. This conflict with the Saviors seems to be too big for everyone to handle, leading them all to their knees, where Glenn meets his disturbing, brutal, and bitter end, telling Maggie that he'll find her in another lifetime. When this episode came out, I had read all the leaks and prepared myself for what was to come. Glenn was a fan favorite character, and for a lot of reasons, Season 7 felt very empty. I now realize a large part of that was due to Glenn's death. Glenn wasn't the main character, but he was the very soul of the show. He gave the audience a person to root for and to see themselves as, and when that was taken away, a large part of the show's audience was too. Was Glenn's death disrespectful? I had always said no, it wasn't. It was shocking for sure, but after making this video, I think it kinda was. Glenn dying threw all moral guidance out the window. There was no longer any characters that had a sense of good and evil, and Glenn's character arc was never really finished. He was going through his hero's journey, but it was cut short. Glenn's death was more than just shock value. Glenn was maybe the only person who could keep Rick in check with his own demons, and when he was gone, it left everyone spiraling out of control. The days that Glenn was in the show were absolutely the golden days of The Walking Dead. Since he's been gone, there's been something missing from the show. It might be that the show went on and tried different things, and even with Glenn in it, it still might have declined, and it's very hard to blame the downfall of a show on a single character, but Glenn left a sizable hole in the hearts of viewers, enough for a lot of them to leave as a result. Glenn's story is a tale about seeing the good in people no matter what they've done in the past. No matter who you were or what you've done, you can change. We saw that in Glenn's own character arc, from a pizza delivery boy to a hardened warrior of the apocalypse. Glenn meant more to this show than just a comic relief character. He meant more to the show than just a moral compass. His true character was something that viewers could attach themselves to and learn something about themselves. Glenn wasn't the heart or the brain of the show, but he certainly was the soul, and without him, The Walking Dead has never been the same. What are your thoughts on Glenn? Let me know down in the comments below, and remember to give this video a like if you enjoyed, and subscribe for more Walking Dead content. If you do, then I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah.